7. May 7 to 8, 2019, 5 months after. My dream is so real. When Asher sits down on the edge of my bed, I roll to my side, the mattress dipping. He's wearing a suit that used to belong to my father, and he's barefoot. His mouth has been sewn shut with red thread. He wants to tell me something, but he can't, and he grows increasingly frustrated. Then there's a flash in his eyes as he figured something out. He pulls a piece of paper from the breast pocket. It is an index card, a yellow one, the kind my mother used to write her recipes on. This is a list on it with 3 names, my father, Lily Asher. The first 2 are crossed out. I wake up bathed in sweat, fighting for air. Through my window, the horizon is a ribbon of blood. This time of year, the chatter blue jays and chickadees usually wakes me at dawn, but it's earlier than that. The quiet scene between night and daytime. I push my hair back and stagger into the bathroom, washing my face and pulling on a robe before I slip downstairs. I put the water on for coffee, then toe on my sneakers so that I can walk to the end of the driveway to get the morning paper. I'm afraid to see what it says after yesterday's bombshell in court. It's already old news. The 11 p.m. local television broadcast covered it, but that doesn't mean it will hurt any less to see it in black and white. I don't make it to the end of the driveway, though. The second I step outside, I see the wide wall of the barn where I process my honey. On the weathered boards, someone has written in vivid red paint a single word, Murderer. Inside the house, the tea kettle whistles. It sounds like a scream. A half hour later, when the sun is still pounding and bleary-eyed, I stand in front of the barn beside Mike Newcomb. I put on jeans and a tee and long cardigan, but the detective is already suited up for work. His trousers are pressed, badge clipped his belt. His shirt is starched, the pockets still glued against a layer of fabric. I remember how when Braden got dressed, I'd slip my hand inside his dry clean shirt pocket for the sheer satisfaction of feeling it peel back. Although our shoulders are nearly touching, there is a distance between us. Mike runs his hand through my hair, still damp from a shower. I wonder if he usually goes to the station this early, or if, as the only detective in town, he is a subject to calls at all hours of the day and night. The 2 policemen who came to the house first have already left, photographs in hand, but there isn't a smoking gun or, in this case, a spray can. Whoever did the damage is long gone. I don't know, Olivia, he says. It could be the same kids who vandalized your honey. He lets his voice trail off because I know the rest of the sentence. I have a lot of enemies now that Asher's officially on trial. Well, do what we can, Mike says. I'll check the hardware stores nearby to see if anyone bought red spray paint recently. Maybe we'll get lucky, but don't get your hopes up. A lot of times with defacement of property, the perps are long gone. I nod and fold my arms. I better go. Court starts at 9, I know, Mike finishes. He jerks his head in a tight nod and starts down the driveway to his car. I turn and walk up the porch steps. I'm about to open the front door when he calls my name. He's standing in front of his car, hand fist at his side. He hesitates, but then he meets my gaze. I'm sorry, he says, about all of it. He scuffs his boot at the gravel of the driveway. You don't deserve it. I watch as he drives away. If he was so sorry, I think uncharitably he shouldn't have testified against my son. But at the same time, I know he was doing his job just like I'm doing mine, protecting Asher. I think back to my conversation with Elizabeth yesterday at the river. Am I protecting him, or am I trying to convince myself Asher needs protection? When I go back into the house, Jordan's in the kitchen cooking an egg. He slides his eyes toward me. then clenches his jaw and flips it over easy. "You're still mad at me?" I asked. He heard the commotion of the police car arriving and came outside in a robe to find me talking to the officers. Quickly sizing up what had happened, he pulled me aside. "Why did you call them instead of waking me up?" he asked. "I'm sorry, I did my part where you went to the police training." Pissed, he said, stormed into the house again. Now I lean against the counter watching him cook. Was I supposed to just let this go? Maybe if I get lucky, they'll burn down the barn tonight. Had you bothered to ask me, I would have told you not to involve the police. Your detective isn't going to find whoever did this. He's not my detective, I say. And last time I checked, Jordan, this house still belongs to me. If someone vandalizes it, I'm not just going to pretend it didn't happen. He bangs his spatula down on the stove. "Well, you should," he snaps. "There's nothing you can do, Olivia, and there's nothing police can do. It's part of the process." "What is?" "Being tried in court of a public opinion," he stares at me. "Even if Asher's acquitted, that doesn't mean people won't whisper behind his back for the rest of his life and behind yours." Suddenly, I understand. Jordan isn't mad because I involved the police. He's mad because he couldn't protect us from this. "You don't have to take care of me," I say softly. "I'm a big girl, Jordan." He snorts, and I know what he's thinking. "How'd that work out for you before?" Jordan turns back to the stove. You should eat something. It could be a long day." "I will. I just want to make sure Asher's up first." I pause at the kitchen doorway. "Jordan," I say, waiting till he turned around. "Thanks." As I head to the staircase, something catches my eye through the pane of the window. Across the strawberry field, Asher stands on the ladder, a bucket balanced on the top of its frame, a car sponge in his hand. I watch him scrub out the red paint, smearing the letters slowly and methodically. He muddies it into a broad, dark stain until it's not an accusation but a slurry of shadow on the side of our barn, like a swarm of bees that cannot find a safe place to land. By the time we get to court, it feels like I've already lived an entire day. Today, Ava Campanella will be the first witness called, and Jordan has already explained to me that she has to be treated with kid gloves by both the prosecutor and himself, because no one on the jury wants to see a grieving mother suffer even more. I try to remember everything Asha has told me about Ava as I watch her being sworn in. She's a forest ranger which as it turns out is less Smokey Bear and more scientific, involving tracking something, wildcats maybe. I remember Asher glowing over the fact that Lily knew how to start a fire with using flint and pine needles, and that it was good to know that if he was lost in the wilderness with her, he'd survive. I can see Lily and her mother, the high cheekbones, a set of her shoulders, dark pools of her eyes. As Ava settles herself, she focuses her gaze right on me, which is unnerving. It's like Lily is peeking out, like I am trapped by the gaze of a ghost. The reporters are silent, puppies who know that at the slightest provocation they will be banished from the table before they get a treat. Judge Byers has made it clear that she is not in a mood for any bullshit, which has only ratcheted up the already charged atmosphere in the courtroom. Yesterday there were empty seats on either side of me. Today both are occupied. I have no idea who these people are. They could be media, they could be Ava Campanella's co-workers, they could be Lily's cousins. For all I know, I can feel them both staring at me when they think I'm not looking, but their curiosity is tangible. My hands reflexively curl around the moleskin notebook sitting on my lap, and I focus my attention on Ava. Can you state your name for the record? The prosecutor begins. Ava, she says, but the word is rusty. She clears her throat like running water through a pipe. Ava Campanello. And you are the mother of Lily Campanello, the murder victim in this case? Yes. She is already fighting tears. Gina holds her a box of tissues. Miss Campanello, we know this is hard for you, and we appreciate your willingness to be here and to answer a few questions about your daughter. If you need to take a break or at any time, please just let me know. Her voice is soft, changing the landscape of her questions. When did you and Lily move here? This past summer. So Lily started high school in September? Yes, Adams High, Ava says. Was Lily involved in extracurricular activities at school? She plays in the orchestra. A cloud crosses her face. She played in the orchestra, and she was a fencer? Fencing. Gina's brows rise. For those of us who've never done it like me, you mean the sport that involves swordplay with a foil? What did that require from Lily in terms of physical conditioning and athleticism? You have to be light on your feet, have good fitness and good balance. So was Lily a strong, coordinated teen, or would you define her as clumsy? You have to be really coordinated to fence and attentive. You have to always be planning your next move. Lily was one of the best on the team. And regarding the staircase in your house, would it be fair to say Lily had gone up and down and hundreds of times since your move? Yes. Is it fair to say she navigated the stairs hundreds of times without incident? Absolutely, Ava says. The prosecutor pauses, and I realize that all of these questions have been the easy ones, the breadcrumbs leading Ava off the main trail onto a darker, thornier path. Miss Campanello, Gina says, we heard the medical examiner, Dr. McBride, testify that Lily was transgender. Can you tell us a little about Lily's transition? Color heats Ava's cheeks. I feel the two strangers bracketeering me, now blatantly staring at me. And I think that maybe I am just as flush as Ava is. Lily was born biologically male, Ava says. I can't really remember a time she seemed to feel comfortable being referred to as a boy. By the time she was 3 or 4, she was identifying with little girls. Wait, what do you mean by identifying? Well, for example, the first time I took her to the ocean, her bathing suit was a pair of swimming trunks, and she didn't want to get out of the car. She said she was naked and needed a bikini top like the other girls. The first time I took Asher to the ocean, he was 8 in New Hampshire. We have only a miser's portion of it, so he had learned to swim in lakes instead. He stood on the edge, hands on his hips, and asked me where the letters were. Atlantic Ocean, he explained, like on the map. Tell us about Lily's middle school experience, Gina says. Lily was expressing her female identity more and more, and it really upset her father. As a result, he insisted on sending her to a private school that was all boys, where she had to wear a coat and tie every day. My mind cast back, remembering how Asher had told a detective that he and Lily had fought about her dad. Was this why she was estranged from him? How did that go? Ava smiles a little. She found ways to rebel. She grew her hair long and she wore nail polish and got bullied for it. One day, after a particularly bad incident, Lily's father told her he was going to make life easier for her. She hesitates. He buzzed her hair into a crew cut. By the time I got home from work, Lily was catatonic. I steal a glance at Asher. I want to know if this is news to him or if Lily shared this pain in her past. But as Jordan requested, his face is stony and impassive. One fist is curled tight beneath the table by only clue. What did you do? Gina asked. I took her and left. In the middle of the night with a suitcase full of clothing. We drove to a cabin my family owns near San Francisco. A few months later, when her hair grew back, she wasn't quite as fragile. I enrolled her at a private school called Marin Mirror. After 8th grade, she went to another school called Point Crest. She was living as a girl. She dressed like one. She identified as one to everyone but the school administration. She was one. Had Lily had surgery by then? No, Ava says. She asked but thought she was too young to have that conversation. Did something happen to change her mind? Yes, Lily's father showed up unannounced and outed her to her friends. At first it seemed like they were accepting, but then she was assaulted and humiliated by them in a public way. Her lips flattened into a tight line. Lily became suicidal, Ava says quietly, and I realized I'd rather have a live daughter than a dead one. She wipes beneath her eyes with a finger. I think about Asher revealing Lily's suicide attempt to Jordan and me. How at the time he felt privileged to be the one she'd confided in. What happened next? The prosecutor asked. I pursued surgery options for Lily. Did your husband know? Yes. What was his reaction? He was furious. He acted as if it was something being done to him. Eventually, I had to get legal permission for Lily to have surgery without him signing off on it. Was Lily aware of this? How did it make her feel? She felt rejected. She felt like he hated her. I stare at Asher's profile again, two of a kind, him and Lily, with mothers who protected them from their fathers. Giving enough love to spackle over the hate. Miss Campanello, is there any reason you didn't tell the state that Lily was transgender? She shifts straightly, almost impeccably. Is there a reason I had to? Ava asks. Lily was a girl who fell in love, she adds, with the wrong boy. This is how I told Braden we were having a baby. I had fallen asleep in the middle of the afternoon. I didn't respond to the daily AIM message he sent from the hospital. Just checking in to see how my day was going. He came home mid-shift, wild-eyed, slamming the front door against the wall as he burst through it. Yelling my name, I jerked off on the couch, too surprised to do anything but stand like a willow in the face of his storm. Do you have any idea how worried I was? I thought you'd been in an accident. Why didn't you answer my message? When I told Braden I had been asleep, he grabbed my wrist hard. You're lying to me, he accused. I'm pregnant, I blurted out. I had taken over-the-counter test the day before and I was waiting for a blood test to be sure. Braden's mood changed like the wind. He let go of my wrist, his hand sliding up on my shoulders with a feather-like touch. A baby, he said. Yours, mine? A smile broke over his face and he kissed me as if I were made of air and light. He called the hospital and said he wouldn't be in for the rest of the afternoon. We talked about names like Violet and Daisy, and I teased him about having a whole bouquet of babies. He made love to me as if he was claiming an uncharted territory. Later, I sprawled against Braden with his ear pressed to the drum of his heart. You know what this means? He said, as long as that baby exists, you and I are inseparable. We're literally fused together in its genetic code. I woke up to Braden tucking the duvet around me and kissing me on the forehead as he slipped out of the bed to get ready for work. But I pretended to be asleep so I didn't break the spell. It's true that for years I hid the fact that Braden abused me. Part of it was because I thought into the gaslighting, the constant barrage of abuse. Part of it was because I was bewildered and embarrassed that I had reached this point. as if I could no longer mark the spot where I stopped being an intelligent, confident woman, and part of it was because, in spite of everything, I loved him more than I had ever loved anyone else. I thought that meant that I might be able to change him. What made me finally willing to reveal the violent underbelly of my marriage was fear, not for me, but for Asher. I would have unalived myself to keep him safe, but I also knew that if I was unalive, I couldn't protect him, so I left. And I told my parents and Jordan the truth. I got a restraining order, got counseling, I got divorced. I started over. If I had never had Asher, though, I might still be married to Braden. There are some secrets that I think we are willing to take to the grave for the people we love. That's what I think. Ava Campanello did not tell anyone in Adams that Lily was trans. The prosecutor has shifted her line of questioning. When did you first meet the defendant, she asked. Lily invited him to dinner when they started going out. It was September, Ava replies. What were your impressions of him at first? She turns to look directly at Asher. I liked him, Ava says flatly, her words at odds with her expressions. He was polite to me, and he looked at Lily like she was the eighth wonder of the world. Do you know if Lily and Asher were intimate? Gina asks. A flush steals across Asher's cheekbones. I don't know, Ava admits, her eyes filling with tears again. I assumed they were. Why did you assume that? Gina presses gently. Because she was so happy. I had never seen her so happy. I opened up my moleskin notebook. I can feel the eyes of the strangers on either side of me, and I curl my hands so they cannot see what I'm writing. Gin, lemon juice, honey. I close my eyes. I imagine every cocktail you can make with honey, boiling it down into simple syrup. I imagine sitting on the porch on a hot Sunday afternoon with nothing better to do than drink one and listen to the hum of the bees collecting nectar. I imagine Asher coming up the porch steps sweaty after a run, grinning at me. Got extra? I will when you're 21. Lily Campanello will never be 21. I close the notebook. Miss Campanello, I'd like to walk you through the day of Lily's unaliving. We've heard that she was sick. What were her symptoms? She had fever and felt weak. She stayed home from school. Did you stay with her? Yes, I called in to work and I told them I needed the day off. Her fever spiked and we had no Advil in the house. So I ran to the pharmacy to get some. Gina nods. What time was that? A little after 3 o'clock. When you left, who was in the house? The prosecutor asked. Just Lily, Boris, and our dog. How long were you gone? An hour or so. When you returned, Gina says, what's the first thing you noticed? Asher's car was outside and the front door was open. Ava responds, what happened next? I went inside, Ava says. Asher was on the living room couch holding Lily. She was bleeding and she wasn't moving. Her voice fades away until it's only a huge that hangs over the room like the air after a thunderstorm. I have only one more question, Miss Campanello, Gina says. Did you and Lily ever have a conversation about whether she should tell Asher that she was transgender? Yes, Ava admits. I encouraged her to tell him, but she didn't want to. Why not? Because she said he would hate her for it like her father did. Ava swallows hard. She said that if that happened, she looks directly at Asher. If that happened, her life would be over. The prosecutor lets that settle. Nothing further, she says. During the 15-minute recess that the judge calls, Jordan spirits Asher and me into the conference room we use every day. He doesn't sit down. Instead, he just paces and hovers like a coach during halftime. Okay, he says, as if he needs to convince himself. She gets the symphony vote, period. We accept that, and then we dismantle it as best as we can when the time's for the defense to put up our case. Asher is even more quiet than usual. I like Lily's mom, he says. The first time I met her, we talked about how there were signs on New Hampshire mountains that say the summits have the worst weather in America. We joked about whose job it was to verify that and what they'd done to get demoted. He rubs his hand down his face. She told me that once. Lily put herself in timeout because she didn't want to clean her room, and she assumed she would have wound up there anyway, and that when Lily was really quiet, and that when Lily was really little, she had an imaginary friend and was very quiet, a striped spider named David. Asher shakes his head. Who makes up an imaginary spider and names it David? Being in court this morning has already taught me that Ava Campanella is a better mother than I am. She had a child turn out to be someone she didn't expect, and for all intents and purposes, she not only supported her, but had her back against the judgment of the rest of the world. On the other hand, I have a child who may turn out to be someone I didn't expect him to be, and all I want to do is reverse the clock to the moment before I doubted him. Jordan has an older son, Thomas, from the first marriage, but when I was still pretty young when he was born, so it wasn't until Sam arrived that I saw my brother play the role of a parent. I remember him watching coo to his baby when Sam was colicky and Selena had given up in exhaustion. I had seen Jordan argue and tease and fight and brood and even fall in love, but I had never seen him gentle all his rough edges before. Sam usually fell asleep in less than 5 minutes when Jordan soothed him. He never stood a chance against my brother's soft voice and ever softer touch. It's the same way now that he approaches Ava on the witness stand. Miss Campanella, he says gently, I am very sorry that you have to be here today. I have a handful of questions to ask you. She nods. A quick jerk of the chin. Back in September, you knew Lily and Asher were dating? Yes. And you know they were getting very close? Yes. Back then you felt like Asher was good for Lily, didn't you? Ava's eyes eye him warily. Yes. In fact, only a few short months ago, didn't you think Asher showed great concern and consideration for your daughter? Yes, I did. Isn't that why Jordan says you suggested that Lily confide in Asher that she was transgender? Yes. And you stated that Lily resisted telling you, Asher, right? That's correct. Jordan slips his hand into his trouser pocket. Most parents aren't around for most conversations between two dating teenagers. Assuming that you weren't present for every conversation between Asher and Lily, you really have no idea whether or not Lily ever did confide in Asher that she was transgender, do you? No. Thank you, Miss Cam. But my daughter is unalive, Ava interrupts, so I can make a pretty damn good assumption. Jordan steps backward. Nothing further, he murmurs. The next morning when I walk by Asher's bedroom door and knock to make sure he is awake and getting ready to leave in time for court at 9, he doesn't answer. I knock again. When there's only silence, I open the door. His sheets are tangled as if he's recently been buried beneath them, but he is nowhere in his room. He is not downstairs in the kitchen or in the living room or sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee. He isn't in the basement or the barn. By the time I get back to the house, I nearly collide with Jordan in the hallway. Whoa, he says, grabbing my shoulders. Where's the fire? Asher's missing, I say bluntly, and Jordan hesitates in the art of tightening his tie. Missing, he repeats. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? I ask, my voice rising in pitch and volume. He can't leave, Jordan says. It's a bail violation. Is his car here? Yes, but I have no idea when he left. He could have walked all the way to town by now. Well, we have to find him before the cops do, or he'll get locked in jail for the rest of the trial. Where would he go? To Lily's, I think immediately, and realize at the same time that is exactly where he isn't. Maybe he just went for a walk to clear his head, Jordan says, but at the same time he grabs the keys to the truck from the bowl near the front door. I'll drive around and look for him. You stay here. Whoever finds him first, text. I cannot say out loud what I'm thinking, so I wait for Jordan to leave the driveway before I run downstairs to the basement and with shaking hands open the gun safe that holds the old .22. The pew-pew is still inside, propped as it's been since it was last used 5 or 6 years ago. I'm so relieved that my knees give out and I wind up sitting in the front of the open safe with a heart racing. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Asher tried to unalive himself and failed. But just because the gun is here doesn't mean he's not thinking about SUICIDE. I close up the safe, scramble the combination, and hurry back upstairs. The house is still silent. Outside, a light rain has started to fall. I run through the terrible possibilities in my head as I wonder where he might have gone. The apple orchard with its thick branches. I grab my phone in case Jordan texts and run along the fields, calling Asher's name as I head to the woods that separate my property from the orchard. I step into the soft sponge of pine needles looking for broken branches or footprints of any kind of evidence that Asher was here. Suddenly a bird bursts out of the brush, a grouse startled by my arrival. To be fair, I was just scared as it is, and I cower as it flaps away in a blur of feathers, but when I'm crouched like that, my face is turned up, which is how and why I noticed the treehouse. My father built it for Jordan when he was a boy, and I inherited it when Jordan got too old to bother with it. Eventually, it was passed down to Asher when we moved back to Adams. He played there with Maya in elementary school. Now it is camouflage. It's wood, the same street gray of tree trunks surrounding it. Asher, I call, my hands on the rope ladder. It's faint but audible. Up here, with a relief that floods me from the heart to fingertips, I scramble up and poke my head into the treehouse. I'm assailed by a wave of nostalgia, my initials and Jordan's on the beams and Braden's. Something he did, I showed him the hideaway, which completely pissed me off, because this was my place, not ours. The ship's wheels I added for Asher, the smooth knot on the wood beam that I used to pretend was a button that would transport me to Bangladesh, to the moon, to the future, to anywhere but Adams, New Hampshire. Asher is lying on his side on the floor, wrapped tight in a rust-colored afghan my mother crocheted sometime in the 70s. His bright hair sticks out from the very top like the tip of a paintbrush. Asher, I say quietly. I put my hand on his shoulder. He doesn't turn. It's time to get ready for court. Slowly, like a man 4 times his age, Asher sits up. The afghan is caught around his shoulders. I reach for it, thinking to fold it and put it aside, but he turns fiercely, grabbing at the wool. Stop, he snarls, and I'm so surprised that the Afghan drops between us. On his knee now, he gathers like an armful of flowers. He buries his face in the mess of it. It still smells like her, Asher says. With the light drizzle outside striking the corrugated metal roof and the leaves of the tree, feels like the whole world is weeping. You could leave it here, I tell him. It's raining. What I mean to say is, if that's all you have left of Lily, do not expose it to the elements. Keep it safe. Keep it hidden. I'll wait at the bottom of the ladder, I added. As I make my way down, Asher tenderly doubles up the Afghan, a captain folding a flag for the family of a fallen soldier. I haven't seen Maya Banjari since Lily's funeral, but I can tell you as much. She takes a stand that she is a nervous wreck. On the one hand, Lily has her best friend and she wants to honor her memory by helping the prosecution. On the other hand, doing so means dragging her oldest friend through the mud. As soon as she sits down, she locks eyes with Asher. Hi, I see her mouth. I feel hope flutter in my chest. Maybe this will be not the slam dunk the prosecution thinks it will be. Somewhere behind me are Maya's moms, here to lend her emotional support as she testifies. Neither came up to me before court was called into session. Deepa looked at me, whispered something to her wife, and when I returned their gazes, they both found something on the floor to stare at that must have been utterly fascinating. Maya's wearing a blue blouse and a pleated skirt. She looks young and conservative, a schoolgirl. I wonder what the jury would think if they knew she was a sixth grader. She coated a lab table with hairspray and tried to light it on fire. Were you a friend of Lily Campanello? Gina asked. Maya nods. You're going to have to speak up, the prosecutor coaches. Oh, Maya squeaks. Yes, but you're also a friend of the defendant, right? Maya takes a deep, shuddering breath. Yes, she says. I imagine that it's scary for you, Maya, the prosecutor says. But it's really important. Scary for Maya, you think? Whew. Let me take a little break. My eyeballs are very dry. Whew. It's getting really good. I think I have maybe 4 more pages. Whew. What do you guys think so far? I'm kind of wondering, I don't know, it's kind of weird with Asher. It is. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I kind of got scared that he was missing. Okay, back to reading. I know, Maya, I just want to help. That's good, Gina says. Why don't you tell us how you met the defendant? Asher and I were in school together from 2nd grade on. We've been friends ever since. Did the two of you ever have a romantic relationship? Maya shakes her head. Asher says I'm the sister he never had. How and when did you meet Lily? She was a new student at school this year, Maya says. We met at orchestra practice. She was smart and funny and into the same things I was. We were friends right off the bat. How did Lily meet Asher? Maya's mouth twists. It was the first week of school after orchestra. I was hanging around waiting for Asher because he was giving me a ride home. Dirk, a hockey player like Asher, started hitting on Lily. She wasn't into it at all, but Dirk wasn't getting the hint, and then Asher showed up. He took one look at what was going on and said that he's already asked Lily out so Dirk would get lost. It was a lie. Asher hadn't even met Lily yet, but then they actually went out, and from then on they were exclusive. Their dating relationship from September to December was it copacetic? Maya blinks at the prosecutor. Was it problem-free? Gina corrects. Oh, Maya says mostly. I mean, they fought sometimes, and there were other times that one of them wasn't speaking to the other. Were there any particular instances where you thought maybe the relationship wasn't a healthy one? Maya looks at Asher and bites her lip. This one time we were at a sleepover at Lily's. She was changing into a t-shirt to sleep in, and I saw bruises all over her arms. The prosecutor lifts an enlarged photograph from the table. I'm showing you State Exhibit 7. Can you tell me what this is, Maya? A selfie we took that night. Me and Lily. You can see what I mean about the bruises. They were dotted up Lily's left arm, 4 on one side, 1 on the other, the exact sort of marks you get when someone grabs you hard and shakes you. I would know. Maya, did you ever see the defendant being physically aggressive toward Lily? Jordan is out of his seat like a rocket. Your Honor, there has been no evidence to suggest that the defendant is responsible for those bruises. And the prosecutor is asking the question as if to draw a direct line. Judge Byers flicks her eyes toward him. Overrule. How different would my life have been if someone, my mother, Jordan, Selena, had seen the handprint that Braden left on my shoulders, my throat? If instead of just believing what he wanted to see, they'd look a little closer. Had Lily been wearing long sleeves because she was hiding the scars from her suicide attempt? Or was it to hide the evidence of violence? She was protecting Asher like I used to protect Braden. Like I'm trying to protect Asher now? I saw Asher grab Lily by the arm once. They were having an argument because she was talking to another guy in a fencing match. She tried to walk away from Asher, but he wouldn't let her leave. And she told him to stop because he was hurting her. Suddenly, Asher leaps to his feet. That is not, he sees. What happened? The jury swivels in unison toward him. Jordan grabs his suit jacket and yanks him back into his seat. Maya, Asher cries, what the fuck are you doing? Jordan grips out, quiet, as Maya looks at Asher, tears filling her eyes. But Asher is like a volcano that has been stewing on the court, and now that the fire's unstoppable, he jerks himself free of Jordan, his words tumbling fierce and hot. That's not what happened. She's lying. Shut up, Jordan snaps, squeezing his arm. Please control your client, Mr. McGaffey, the judge says, or I will have the bailiff do it for you. Once Braden called me into the kitchen fuming. The dishwasher was open mid-cycle, water pooling on the floor. I told you this is not how you load a dishwasher, he said, gesturing to the white china in the rack, which was arranged at odd angles, but you never listened. In fact, we had never discussed how to load the dishwasher. Before I could say anything, he picked up a plate and, holding my gaze, dropped it so that it shattered on the floor. I jumped out of the way, but Braden grabbed another one and another until I stopped flinching. When they dropped and all our dinnerware was in shards at my feet. What a mess, he said, as if he hadn't been the one to make it. A slow, satisfied smile unfurls across Gina's mouth. Mr. McGaffey, she asked, do you need a few minutes to calm your client down? We're good, Jordan says tightly. And that's how I realized that Maya's testimony was not about Lilia friendship or bruises. It was about getting Asher to explode while the jury watched. When Asher and Maya were in second grade together, they were classroom reading buddies, T-ball teammates, and best friends. I remember their teacher telling me during a conference that Asher and Maya were inseparable. That had recess, they had to be reminded to let other kids play with them. It seemed like Asher was always at Maya's house or vice versa. Sharon and Depa and I used to joke about planning their wedding about Romeo and Juliet endings minus the double unaliving. I bet Shakespeare wouldn't have seen this one coming. It's getting windy. It's probably gonna start raining pretty soon. I don't hear the thunder here anymore. Probably out in San Carlos by now. Whew. Take a little break again. This is a long chapter, you guys. Take a little break for my eyeballs. We have about 4 pages. The story and the weather is going together. I know, I'm trying to make sure my throat doesn't get really dry. Break time. Go get your snacks. Go to the bathroom. It's my eyeballs. We have 4 more pages. I don't know, you guys. I really feel that Asher is very violent. It's scary. It's actually scaring me. It's scaring me, you guys. These red flags. It's still sprinkling and windy, cloudy here. Bar the hatches. Okay. Okay, let's finish this. When Asher and Maya were in 2nd grade together, they were... did I read that? I'll reread it. When Asher and Maya were in 2nd grade together, they were classroom reading buddies, t-ball, teammates, and best friends. I remember their teacher telling me at conference that Asher and Maya were inseparable, that at recess they had to be reminded to let other kids play with them. It seemed like Asher was always at Maya's house or vice versa. Sharon and Depa, I used to joke about planning their wedding about Romeo Juliet endings minus this double unaliving. I bet Shakespeare wouldn't have seen this one coming. After Gina Jewett takes her seat again, the judge turns to Jordan and offers him the floor. He sits on the table next to Asher for a moment, tapping his fingers against the surface as if he's trying to wrap his head around the right line of questioning. Hi, Maya, he says, finally offering her a smile. You're doing great. She returns a smile. Thanks, she says nervously. You've known Asher for almost your whole life, right? Since he moved here when we were 6. When was the last time you saw him? Jordan asks. At Lily's funeral. I bet that was really hard for both of you. Yeah, Maya says. Did Asher seem upset that day to you? He seemed numb. Maya recounts and then she squares her shoulders as if she is defending her own statement. But he gets like that sometimes. Like what? When he's really emotional, he kind of turns inside himself instead of letting it show on the outside. This must seem surreal to you, Jordan says, that we're in this courtroom, that Asher's on trial. I mean, you're the one of Asher's best friends, aren't you? Maya stiffens. I was Lily's best friend, too. And Lily's best friend? She told you things she didn't tell anyone else, right? Yes. So you knew she tried to unalive before moving here, I assume. Wait, Maya says, what? Jordan's brows rise. Oh, she didn't tell you that? No. Emotions chase across Maya's face. Surprise, hurt, betrayal. She didn't tell you that she was transgender either, did she? No. Because she didn't really want anyone to know, right? Objection, Gina says. Withdrawn, Jordan replies. Nothing further. Maya looks stricken as she steps out of the witness box. She turns to Asher at the last moment, guilt written all over her features. Behind me, I hear the rustle of Sharon and Depa as they exit the gallery to get their daughter. Gina rises partly out of her seat. Your Honor, she says, the prosecution rests. The bailiff takes the jury out and I watch Asher's hand tighten into a fist beneath the table. I wonder if he thought, like I did, that the state's evidence would go on for days, weeks, if he is nervous now about what Jordan will do next. Judge, Jordan says, I move to strike the evidence as insufficient to support a verdict. Thank you, Mr. McAfee, Judge Beyer says. Miss Jewett. Your Honor, the state's case has sufficiently proven every element of the crime of unaliving, and in fact, now we've even thrown in a motive. Thank you for that embellished argument, the judge says. The defendant's motion is overruled. There is sufficient evidence to proceed with the trial, and we will return tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the defendant's evidence if they so choose to present any. She bangs a gavel, and the hum of the noise of the gallery increases as reporters crowd one another at the doorway to file their stories and get into position to ambush us as we exit the courtroom. Like yesterday, however, Jordan draws us back into the conference room. What was that? I asked. Did she really do a shabby job presenting her case? Jordan shrugs. Oh no, she's got plenty. That's just what the defense always does at this point. Try to discredit the state's evidence. I mean, there's a chance a judge will fall for it. He sits down at the table across from Asher and me. Gina's connected all the dots for the jury. Asher unalived Lily in a fit of trans panic. After she told him the truth, Maya gave proof of earlier violence. I never hurt Lily, Asher interrupts, but Jordan talks right over him. And finally, thanks to Asher's little outburst in court, the jury got to witness firsthand what it looks like when Asher flies into humiliated rage. Once when Asher was little, we had chickens. I came out of the coop to find him holding a chick head first in its water bowl. It's thirsty, he said. I took it out of his hand. This tiny lifeless thing, why isn't it moving, Mommy? He asked. It drank so much, I told him. He needs a nap. I'm not sure which one of us I was shielding, him for making an honest mistake or me for wondering how he could not have felt the struggle of those tiny bones, the gasping beak, and not let go. Clearly, Jordan is saying, with my attention drifts back to him, we're not putting Asher on the stand, especially now. Asher's head snaps up. Wait, I never get to tell the truth? No, Jordan says. You don't get to say anything. You let me do the talking. Asher's face reddens, but all I did was find her. I showed up when she was already unalive. Why can't I just say that? Because the state is going to twist your words just like they manipulated you today when you weren't on the stand to grace the jury with an Oscar-worthy performance of frustrated furry. Except if you're a witness, it's 1,000 times worse. Once you're in the box, I can't prevent the prosecution from asking all kinds of questions you don't want to answer. I can practically feel the steam rising between them, so I intercede. If Asher can't speak up for himself, who will? Selena's at this very moment picking up from the airport. The doctor performed Lily's gender affirmation surgery. Jordan says, how does that help, Asher? I don't know yet, he admits, but I think the more educated the jury is, the more chance we have of them believing Asher's innocent. We'll put Coach on the stand, and you? He makes my gaze. Who else is better qualified to vouch for the character than his own mother? I have a flash of Asher's small, chubby fist clutched around the limp chick, holding it up to me like an offering. Who else? I repeat. I wonder if the question is rhetorical. By the time we get home, Selena has arrived, and she and Jordan immediately disappear into her makeshift office in the dining room to go over the testimony of tomorrow's last-minute expert witness, Dr. Powers. There is a message on the phone from Dirk for Asher, which he isn't allowed to answer per the Judge Bale's order, and one from the post office for me, telling me my bees have arrived. I am thrilled to have a task or a responsibility that distracts me. I do not want to believe Asher could be the villain he's been painted by the state to be. But when I let my guard down, I have to admit that what is so exhausting to me isn't their depiction of Asher. It's the struggle to keep my version of him sarcastic. The post office is a few minutes away from closing by the time I park my truck in front of it. The pound of bees the postmaster hands me, moving faster actually than I've ever seen him and move before, are about 4,000 in number, shipped from an apiary in New York in a box made of wood and mesh. The cage is heavier than you'd think and hotter. I drive it back home to rehouse the bees in Celine's old hive. I go to get my bee kit in the mudroom and hesitate. I hear Jordan and Celine in the dining room, but Asher is likely upstairs. I walk up and knock on his door. Asher is sitting on his bed with his sketch pad. He closes it quickly when I enter, but not before I see the curve of a jaw and a full of a dark hair. "Hey," I say, and he jerks his head in greeting. "You okay?" He shrugs. "I'm great, except for the murder charge and the fact that I'll never get to tell my own story." I lean against the door jamb. "I have to go out to the hives. Do you want to come?" "Do you need help?" "Not really," I say, and I just wait, holding his gaze. He puts the pad down beside him. "Okay," he agrees. I carry the smoker in my veil while Asher looks the crate of new bees. We walk along the edge of the strawberry fields. "What's going to happen to the fruit?" he asks. "Strawberries are perennials, and we run a brisk pick-your-own business in June. Thanks to the pollination of my bees, it feels like a lifetime ago when I mulched the plants last November before. Everything by now. I should have raked away the straw. I should have removed the winterizing row covers as soon as the plants blossom. But the crops have been the last thing on my mind. Next year, I'll say we'll plant twice as many." It's an optimistic way of saying that this year the fruit will likely die on the vine. Asher hasn't brought a veil, so he lights up the smoker while I open the hive that used to belong to Celine and her bees. It's empty and still, a stark counterpoint to the other bustling colonies. He sits down in the tall grass, watching me as I sit up and crouch beside the box of bees. Packaged bees are harvested bees and a queen from a different hive that specifically raises queens. In the middle of the cluster is a can of sugar syrup to tide the bees over during the shipment until they can collect nectar for themselves. The queen is fastened to the top near the syrup in a large cage, or in a little cage with a couple of attendants to take care of her. I can hear her piping like a toy trumpet. Some of the new bees have not survived the trip, but only a handful. "How come you haven't asked me?" Asher says. My hand's still, and then I smoke the sides and top of the crate. "Asked you?" "Whether I did it." I looked at him through the veil. My heart is pounding so hard I am sure he can hear it. "Do I need to?" Asher rolls his shoulders. "I know why Uncle Jordan doesn't want to talk about it," he says, "but I figured you would." "You figured wrong," I want to say, since that would mean I doubted you, and I don't, but the words don't come. I peel off the queen cage so I can set it aside. Then I overturn the crate and dump the bees in the empty hive. They explode around my face in a cloud of agitation. "There is nothing you could say to me," I tell him, carefully picking my words, "that would make me love you any less." Asher stills. "That's what I said to her." It is a veiled confession. Did she tell him? Did Asher hold up his end of the bargain, or did he let Lily and himself down with his reaction? Does it even matter? If Asher were to confess to me that he was fighting with Lily and things got out of hand and she wound up unalive, I would still defend him. "That's different." A tiny voice curls in my head. "That's an accident." I just do not believe that Asher has managed to hide a white-hot rage of 18 years without his control ever slipping. Then again, things have come easily to my golden boy. School sports, friends, girls. Maybe he's never felt so mortified that needed to strike out until now. I don't think I ever knew how lucky I am, Asher muses. I could argue with that based on the fraught early life with his father, a messy divorce, a hand-to-mouth existence in a Rickering farmhouse. "No one's ever thought the worst of me before," he says, and he picks the queen cage up from where it's balanced against the side of the transport box. Now I kind of feel like this, boxed in, like I got nobody. I take the little wooden coffin from his palm and set it between two of the frames in the hive. You've got me, I say. As I wedge it tightly, I hear myself, did you know? I turn to find the sun crowning Asher as afternoon prince. His eyes even met mine for a moment, hesitating long enough for me to take the coward's way out. These come with a candy plug, I blurt, adjusting the queen cage. Yeah, Asher says. Let me change the subject. When I was little, you told me that I tried to lick one. It's not the kind of candy, I say, so I discovered. Since the queen hasn't raised in the same hive as the bees shipped in the box, she's unfamiliar to them. As the worker bees chew through the thick fondant at one end of the cage, they become used to her. The candy plug isn't a barrier meant to restrain the queen. It's a barrier meant to protect her from attacks, while the colony decides whether or not they will accept her. I find myself thinking of Lily, where the fences she built meant to keep others out or to keep herself in. There is no set of rules that dictates what you owe someone you love. What parts of your past should be disclosed? Should you confess you are trans, alcoholic, that you had a same-sex relationship, an abortion, that you were abused by the person you trusted the most in the world? When, if ever, is the right time for that conversation? Before your first date, before your first kiss, before you sleep together? Where is the line between keeping something private and being dishonest? What if the worst happens? What if honesty is the thing that breaks you apart? What's her name? Asher asked, drawing me out of my reverie. I cover the new hive. I've been thinking of Billie Eilish, but maybe not every queen nods to be a pop diva. Lily, I suggest. I sit down next to him in the field as stragglers from the crate fly to the entrance of the hive. We watch the sun go down until the horizon burns the coil of stove. She would have liked that, Asher says. That is the end.